everybody, Greg Friel here at the Friel Thing podcast with my wonderful, fantastic guest this evening, this morning, this afternoon. I have no idea what day it is, what time it is. Laura Smyth, how are you?
Very well, thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Match made in Scotland. You know, you are sometimes referred to as the Cilla Black of Scotland. Are you going to randomly burst into song? No?
I wouldn't.
No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't put anyone through that.
So, Laura, give us a quick 30 seconds on who you are and what it is that you actually do.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that in 30 seconds, but I'll try.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I'll cut you off.
Oh, thanks. So I'm the founder of Match Made in Scotland, which is Scotland's only matchmaking service. So my aim is to bring dating back into the real world. I get to know everyone on a one-to-one personal level. I meet everyone face-to-face, and I introduce them to people with aligned values and complementary personalities. Is that 30 seconds?
Boom.
Boom.
That was less than 30 seconds. Well done.
That's all those 60-second pitches are
Go
working.
So what was it that made you kind of want to do this particular kind of thing? Was it a bad experience in the dating world yourself or doing that kind of thing? Or was it just experience in dealing with people?
Yeah, it wasn't a bad experience, although looking back, I have had bad experiences in online dating, but basically I've worked in recruitment for 10 years and I've always been working with people. And I also am part of an organisation called Girl Gone International, which is for women who move to different cities or countries to help find their friendship groups. So I was their community manager for Aberdeen and also in Edinburgh as well. And so I've always been like matchmaking in some term, but basically it all came ahead during the summer. I was speaking to my friends, and with COVID and everything, as women, we're all in our 30s, and we tend to have plans like I want to get married by this age, meet someone by this age, get married and have kids, and unfortunately we do have biological clocks. So it was really the fact that they were quite frustrated with online dating. One had just come across her boss, which was very uncomfortable for her, and the other one had just gone on a date with someone who completely catfished her. It just wasn't who he said he was. So I suggested to them that they should go to a matchmaker, and there was no one providing that service in Scotland. And I thought, you know what, there's bound to be a lot more people that are in the same boat, that are professional, successful people, but really don't want to do online dating, and they need an alternative. So here I am.
Here you are. You shared a thing recently on social media, which I thought was really, really interesting, and it was the fact that women are massively outnumbered by men on your traditional apps, but on most of the apps like Tinder and that kind of thing. There's more men there than women.
It's crazy, and they do say dating's a numbers game. 85% of UK online dating users are men, and when you get to Tinder, that's 90%, 9 to 1 ratio, men to women. So yeah.
And
I wouldn't bet on that horse.
And I suppose the thing is, maybe there's men who are just seeking something casual, and maybe it comes down to women actually looking for a partner and somebody who's something more significant. And I suppose that's where you come in that you're looking to find don't want to say necessarily a perfect match, but somebody who is the right fit for this person.
Yeah, so it's ideally for people that are looking for a serious relationship. I think that's a big issue with online dating as well, that you do have all those different people in between, that people are just looking for hookups, someone that's just looking to date, and those that are looking for serious relationships. Some people are quite upfront about what they want and others aren't. And unfortunately, from speaking to some male friends that I have that are just looking to date and hook up, they tend to go for the ones looking for a relationship because they find it more of a challenge, which is unfair.
Wow.
Yeah.
some stellar planning there, boys. Well
I know, but obviously they don't say what they're looking for, but then, yeah, I don't know. It's quite frustrating, and it's a big minefield out there for people. So I think especially during this year, like a lot of people have started to reflect on what it is that they're looking for, and it's just been taken out of their hands if they don't use online dating. What other option did they have during lockdown? Like, and I had clients that come to me that don't use online dating because they're business owners, because they're managers or directors, and they don't want their employees to see them, see their personal life
Absolutely, yeah.
online. So there hasn't really been an opportunity for those people this year to date.
I suppose the thing is as well, when it comes to the whole online thing, I mean, thankfully I've been with my wife for 25 years, so I've never had to do the whole online thing, and I think it would totally freak me out, because the whole notion that you go on a date with somebody, and of course they've been on your Facebook and your Instagram, all of those initial getting to know you kind of questions, they probably know that because they've done their research
Yes.
in advance just to make sure you're not a complete weirdo. So it's quite a different world, really.
It is. It is. It's crazy. And this is a lot of the issue as well, is that people spend so long on the apps talking that when they get to the first date, they don't really have anything to talk about. There's not, I don't know, like if you meet someone in a bar or in a nightclub and you can't really speak because of the noise and this, that, or the other, and then normally you would arrange to meet up quite soon after that because you feel comfortable because you've met them once and they didn't murder you, so they're okay. But yeah, so then when you go on the date, it's for an hour, 2 hours, and you're left wanting more, and that's why you meet them again. Whereas, you have now people speaking for so long online. Some of them are doing Zoom dates that are like 5 hours long, and then they never speak again. And it's like, yeah, but you're not leaving any of that mystery, for people to want to meet you again.
Mm-hmm.
I think as well, a lot of the issues with online dating is what's called the paradox of choice. So scientists have said that if you've got more than 9 choices, then you end up not making any. And there's always, you've been in a bar and you've seen someone that's obviously on a date, and as soon as one goes to the toilet, the other one's out on their phone, swiping left or swiping right. And it's kind of the fear of missing out, or the grass is always greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You always think there's someone better going to come along, and it's kind of making people into commodities, and it's buying into this
Absolutely
instantaneous gratification that we're all seeking, with the likes of, we can order a pizza and it can be at our house in 20 minutes.
And that's the thing, is that swipe left kind of culture.
Yeah.
It's just like, people looking and being dismissive, and and just kind of going, yeah, somebody else, and it's like you say, literally thinking of people like commodities.
Yeah.
And then then of course, then you get the whole ghosting side of things, which can be incredibly emotionally damaging to people. There hasn't been that closure. There hasn't been that communication from somebody that actually, this isn't working out for me and I don't want to see you again. Okay, it's difficult. You're having a breakup or whatever, but it's a breakup.
Exactly.
Whereas, when you have the ghosting situation and they just disappear, it's like they died, and you don't know what happened.
Should you phone someone?
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
There's that whole uncertainty. So there's just so many new dynamics that come into play with this.
Definitely. That's kind of where I started off. Before I launched the business, I did a lot of surveying to try and find out what people's issues were with online dating, and actually the main one was ghosting. So for me, for my business, there's the accountability aspect there. Someone needs to take time out of their lives to have a consultation with me, to tell me some, pretty personal things about themselves and their past and what they're looking for, and put themselves out there to someone who effectively is a stranger. But I hope, when you get to speak to me, that kind of gets wiped away. But yeah, then if they want another date, they need to come back to me. They need to treat my members with respect, and not do the ghosting, and be adult about these things and say, sorry, but it's not working. Other things that people have is, people come to me and they say, I've only had I get loads and loads of first dates, but not second ones. So a really good example I had is a client to a couple that went on a date before Christmas. And I rang the girl and I asked her, how was the date? And she's like, yeah, it was really good, but yeah, not for me. And I was pushing, trying to find out why and how did it go. And she just really wasn't prepared to tell me. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go and speak to the guy. And I was bracing myself for the bad news. And he said, amazing date, really, really good. I'd love to see her again. And I was like, okay, something has gone wrong here. So
how can people be that out of sync?
Exactly. So I went back to the lady and I said, right, I've just spoken to Johnny and he has said that it was an amazing date, that you were lovely and he'd love to see you again. So what actually is going on? And she was so shocked and she was like, what, really? I just thought that he wasn't into me. So she was trying to, she didn't want to set herself up for a fall. So she just said no before he said no. And the reason being, when I actually pushed and talked her through it, was that he wasn't really asking her a lot of questions and he was talking about himself. But actually, men are actually predisposed on dates to do this. They act like it's an interview. And it's going back to the hunter-gatherer days where, men were supposed to go out and, be the hunter-gatherer. And women were looking for someone that could do that for them and be stable. So this is a sweeping generalization. But some men, when they go on dates, they try to sell themselves and say, oh yeah, like I've got a really good job and I'm doing really well. And they mightn't talk about money directly, some do, but they'll allude to it like, I've just bought this car and I've just been on this holiday.
Yeah.
And they forget to ask questions. So when I kind of explained that to her, she was like, yeah. And I explained to him as well that he needs to ask more questions on the second date. And they're actually dating now. And I think if they'd met on online dating, they wouldn't
that
have
wouldn't
even...
have happened.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So it's quite...
Proving how crap some people are just at basic communication.
But this is the thing, because this is what gets me as well. People say to me, oh yeah, I know on the first date if someone's for me or not. And I have a lot of, I was like not fights, but yeah, I have to push back on my clients a lot of the time and say, give it another chance. If it's someone that's completely like not for you 100%, no. But if you're like, okay, not for me, give it another chance, because basically you both go to a date with your mask on and you say what you think the other person wants to hear and you want to come off in the right way, and then the second date they're slowly coming down, and then it's by the third date where you're actually quite real and the real you. And yeah, so I just think give it a chance and just understand that people are nervous.
Yeah. And that's going to take time. I mean, and like you say, it's just, that first date is, you kind of like, this is what I want to show you. You're kind of showing off a bit, preening a bit, I suppose. Yeah. But
you don't go in your sweats with your hair up and no makeup on, but
no.
Down the line, that's what's going to happen. But I was having a conversation earlier and I said, Hollywood has ruined it for everyone, because everyone keeps on talking about this spark and, there was no chemistry and there was no spark, and they're just expecting what you see in the movies. And a lot of times that doesn't happen. Like if you see people that have maybe married or gotten a relationship with their colleagues, a lot of the time they didn't really notice them at the start, and it's just something that's grown. And that can happen, and you can have a spark and, there can be instant chemistry, but a lot of the times there's not, and it's something that grows.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like my wife and I, we were working together for a year and a half before we started seeing each other, and then the shit hit the fan.
25 years later,
a story for another day. Let's not talk about me. So let's go way back, right? So you obviously you worked in recruitment. And whereabouts in Ireland are you from in the first place?
So I'm from Armagh, which is in Northern Ireland. So it's near the border. But I've been in Scotland now 15 years.
And you've obviously lost your accent completely.
Oh yeah. Well, when I go home, they say I've got a Scottish twang, but I can't hear it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's because I say I all the time.
Right. Okay.
That's what it.
But I see. I think the thing is with me is that depending on who I talk to, my accent just kind of changes a little bit. Just I'll probably sound more Irish on this podcast than I normally do because I'm talking to you. Yeah. So from Armagh, and you've been. When did you move here? Did you say 15 years ago?
Yeah, for university. So I'm showing my age now.
Edit
that out, Greg.
You are a child. So what were you doing at university?
So obviously nothing
Is this
related
something weird,
to matchmaking.
like Greek and
Yeah, no. I studied translation, interpreting French and Spanish. So
all right, okay.
Not too far from Greek.
Okay, yeah, no, true.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so languages, but did you not have a desire to kind of work in that field, or were you kind of like, yeah, but...
I did, but then there was loads of people in my course that were amazing. There was German people in my course doing French and Spanish into English, and they also were fluent in German, and they've been learning language since they were like 2.
Gotta hate people like that.
I know. And then, like, I love languages, I really do, and I love traveling and this, that, and the other. But with the interpreting and translation, I was like, I'll probably start a war somewhere. I'd be like, oh yeah, he said this, and I'm like, oh no, actually he didn't. So I was like, maybe it's not a safe bet. But no, when I left university, it was the height of the recession in 2011. And basically, you were just lucky to get any job. So I got into recruitment, and I did really well at it. So it was, one of these ways you're doing well at something, so you just continue and you continue. But I felt like it was a bit of status quo, and it was only when I started my own business now that I feel like I'm growing as a person. I felt like I was quite stagnant for a few years. And yourself run your own business. It's not just the matchmaking or the marketing or the music that you're doing. It's everything else. Is a whole massive learning curve. So I'm really enjoying that. But yeah, it is a minefield.
So the business is really young as well. I mean, you just started in the past year, didn't you?
Yeah, so I started in November, but it's really taken off. So this is the thing. I thought I'd have a little bit more time to get my ducks in the row and get my processes and systems. But actually, people have really broached like the idea. They've really embraced it. I think people are just ready for something new, and now that lockdown's lifting, they just want to try something new.
The thing, and I think this has been really, this is what's wonderful about my podcast, Laura, is the fact that we've lifted the lid on some of the mystery behind the work that you do. The fact that I didn't realize that that's what you did in that sense, in that you're going to talk to the clients and see how they got on the date, and then get feedback and go, no, they said this and they said that. So you are actually able to, sort out that miscommunication or that lack of communication, which wouldn't happen in the online world.
Yeah, no, it's really good, and it's such a good feeling when you're able to salvage something. Like for example, those 2 people that are still dating, I just
what happens when it goes the other way? And are you ever the bearer of bad news and you kind of like, listen, it's not happening, son?
Yes. But I'm used to that in recruitment, when people not getting the job, and, we have a formula for giving that news, which I don't know if I can say it on LinkedIn, the word, but yes, it's called a something sandwich. So positive, negative, positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically how we receive most information. But I can imagine that must be quite difficult, though. It's kind of like, listen, it's not happening. I mean, do you get people saying, did she say why she hates me? Do people actually want, seriously though, do people actually want that kind of feedback where they're kind of like, is there something that I could have done better on this date that would make me more, likable or approachable? Or, are people looking for that kind of feedback, or are they scared of that kind of feedback?
It really depends on the person. Some people want to know, and other ones are just like, okay, next, and they just don't want to look at it. I will give, if I have feedback, I will try and give it in, the nicest way possible.
She hates your clothes.
But Yeah, especially like if it's someone that said, "Oh, I hate his clothes," I don't think that's fair feedback because that's someone's opinion. The
Yes,
next
yeah.
person might love his clothes. You know, if I think it is something that will help that person,
If
going
it's a
forward,
communication thing, yeah.
yeah, then I will tell them so then they can talk through it. I know there is a lot of matchmaking agencies that actually offer how did they say it, like a date coaching session, so that you go out on a fake date with the matchmaker and like it's a normal date and they will tell you like, you know,
That's weird.
it is weird. I was like, I don't know if I'd feel
Because
comfortable
I
doing
wouldn't be
that.
myself. That would be
Yeah,
the perfect example of me not being myself. Because you'd know it's not
exactly.
real.
Yeah,
No, that wouldn't work for me at all.
yeah.
But
I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. Add that
yeah,
as a service.
do you give tips to your clients and say, listen, this is good, this is bad.
Yeah, we do as much as we can. Like if it depends, if someone wants advice, I can say I can send you over like some, like I've done a blog about how to make a good impression, that sort of thing, or ideas on what to wear. Because we do work with stylists as well. So if they want, they can have a session with a stylist that can help them get ready before their date. It just really depends. We do cater for people that are dating all the time, but we also cater for people that maybe have become recently single after a long period of marriage and are not comfortable. And that's a lot of people that come to me as well, is that they've been out of the dating scene for so long that the thought of apps and things like that just completely
Sure,
terrifies
yeah.
them. That and they're not used to dating and what modern day dating is like. It's just the same, but with Red Bull instead. But yeah, so we help them as much as they want. I say I can be as hands on or as hands off as they wish.
Hmm. So, when you say you've got a blog that does that kind of thing, um, do you have general tips that you would kind of just give to anybody who's looking to find the one?
Yeah,
I
give
mean,
me a
everybody
call.
talks about the one.
Give me a call. No. So at the moment I'm doing my own sort of Instagram lives and I bring on experts and it's called the self-empowerment sessions, and it really is being the best you. When you're the best you will attract the best person for you. And the best clients that I have are the ones that come to me and say, I'm fairly happy with I'm very happy with my life. I'm not going to settle for anyone, and I'm just looking for someone to enhance my life. That's where you need to be. I do have people that are quite positive, and in the end, I had they'll say, "Oh, do you think there's someone there for me? Do you think I'm dateable?" And that's just a slight confidence issue, which is
Hmm.
everyone has, especially if you've been single for a long time. But I have others that come to me that constantly, if I'm asking questions about what you find attractive in a partner or unattractive, and they say, well, my ex did this, my ex did that, for me, that's a red flag that they're not ready to date. So for those, if they wanted to use the service, I'd probably recommend that they go and work on themselves, or recommend like using a coach to get over their last relationship.
Hmm.
So that answer your question? Trying to
I think
think
so.
what you asked.
I can't remember. So, Laura, thinking of when you first started the business,
Mhm.
have you, I mean, obviously it's still very, very new, but have you given it some thought how you want the business to grow, or are you wanting this to become the kind of thing where you have other people who are matchmakers as well, and and you sort of scale the business as it were?
Yeah, that would be the dream. Everyone asks me, why did you do match made in Scotland? Why have you narrowed it down to such a small area? And it really isn't. There's no one here doing it, so it is ideal. For example, in Ireland, which is a very similar size market, they've got 7 matchmaking firms. So, there is a massive opportunity here and a lot of people that are looking for help. So I do think that it will grow. I will get people hopefully to work and become matchmakers alongside me. I also want to start doing events I think that there's a lot of people that just want to get out dating again. So I'll have kind of the serious side with the matchmaking, but also the more fun side, just to go out and do that. Perhaps I might look at going down sort of maybe weekends away, singles weekends or singles holidays, because I think just with COVID, people are more open to doing these things going forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's a good way forward for the business.
So, okay, for young, not necessarily young singletons, but just for single people
Mm-hmm.
in this day and age, what would be your last piece of advice that you want to give them if they're thinking, if they're wanting to get back out there again, and they haven't been, or maybe they have been trying the app side of things, and they're kind of like, you know what, don't think there's that person's out there for me. You know, what would you say is the best thing for them to do?
Well, first of all, I honestly believe that there is someone out there, if not quite a few people out there, for everyone. I think if you're fed up with the apps, give something else a try. If that's an event, but I'd say you need to put yourself out there. No one is going to come and knock on your door and say, "Do you want to go on a date?" So if you don't want to use the apps anymore, go on to go to dating events, or speak to me, speak to a matchmaker, and just try something different. And if you are a bit nervous, work on yourself. Date yourself. That's what we say a lot. Take
I
yourself
think
out,
everybody's
work
been
on
doing that a
yourself.
lot.
Maybe we're fed up of dating ourselves, are we? But yeah, I think for these, you really do need to be putting yourself out there. That's what I would say, in one shape or form.
So, if people want to get in contact with you and find out more about your service, how can they do that?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, they can contact me directly, or on my website, which is www.matchmaidinscotland.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram at matchmaidinscotland, and also on Facebook at matchmaidinscotland as well.
Keeping it super linear
Yes,
all the way through.
every
Well done.
profile I am there.
Fantastic. Laura, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Talk to you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye.